Genesis 27, verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing? My father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, and thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. First, I want to say, Kol Halal, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and were well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect out there enduring in this truth. So we're coming to the time at the end of the world, at the end of Esau's world. Esau, Edom, being the so-called white man, and Jacob being the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. Yahweh Shemashah's chosen people, the Hebrew Israelites, But now we read that Esau's blessing is the fatness of the earth and the sword. And we know Esau, Edom, conquered for a long time on this earth. And right now he has the dominion. But as you read in verse 40, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So tells us when Esau, Edom has the dominion over Jacob, that Esau will eventually have to break off the yoke from Jacob. He'll have to let Jacob, the Israelites, free. And how is that going to happen when Yahushua returns and redeems the elect of Israel at the end of Jacob's trouble? And then Jacob will be ruling. Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So Yahweh Shemashah made his chosen people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, go into slavery because we disobeyed Yahweh Shemashah in the beginning by not hearkening unto his voice and, not keeping the law, statutes, commandments that he gave us to keep. And he did this to both the southern kingdom and northern kingdom. Jeremiah 50, verse 33, does say the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. So the Negroes, the southern kingdom, and then the Latinos and Native Americans, which would be the northern kingdom, were oppressed together. And all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go. And that's what's happening right now. Right now, our enemies refuse to let us go. And that's why we're still here in our captivity. The bulk of the Israelites are in Babylon the Great in America. But soon, as we read in the previous precept, the yoke of iron will be broke off our neck. We'll be free from this captivity when Yahushua returns to redeem us. And saving, starting with the elect of Israel. This is 2 Ezra 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of times, or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? So Ezra is asking the angel that when will it be the end of the world, end of Esau's world, and then when Jacob rules, when will the Israelites rule? And then the angel said, verse 8, and he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Verse 9, For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So right now, as we read in the previous precept of Esau having the dominion and having to free the yoke from off of Jacob's neck, we know is that we're at the end of Esau's world. you know, because when in the womb, Jacob and Esau, they were always fighting because they're two separate spirits, and it's symbolic of Esau being born first, and then Jacob holding on to Esau's heel being born just right after Esau, coming out the womb. It's symbolic to let you know that, yeah, Esau was going to rule first, but eventually Jacob will supplant Esau, will get over on Esau, and rule for eternity. Because verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. So, yeah. So we know through the prophecies and the scriptures, right now we're at the end of Esau's world, at the end of his kingdom. And Yahushua is going to return and redeem his elect of Israel. And then Jacob's rule will begin, and it will never fall. This is Ecclesiastes 7, verse 8. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. So this is symbolic and also talking about, Esau and Jacob. Esau is the proud in spirit, while Jacob is patient in spirit. Because right now, the Israelites, Jacob, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the Israelites scattered abroad, right now we're being patient and we're in a lower state. So right now we're being patient, waiting on Yahushua Mashiach to return, to redeem his elect of Israel, so that the Israelites' world can start. While Esau, Edom, a so-called white man, is ruling right now and is proud. But as it says in the scriptures, as soon as he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh Shemashah is going to stop it, and he's going to make it fail. He's going to make the plans of the wicked come to naught, and he's going to redeem the righteous out of it. He'll save the righteous out of the MOTB, out of World War III, out of the second death. Jeremiah 30, verse 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So the Psalms 83 crew, basically all the nations on earth, the 17 other nations, outside the tribes of Israel, all the 17 other nations, they're going into slavery under the nation of Israel. They will be subject to the nation of Israel for 1,000 years when Yahushua Mashiach returns, because the Israelites have been in slavery by every heathen nation on earth. We've been downtrodden by every heathen nation on earth. As it says in the scriptures, what nation hasn't spoiled us? Now we go to verse 17. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord Yahweh, because they call thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. So no man seeketh after, seeketh to help the Israelites. Done. No one seek to pay reparations towards the Israelites for all the slavery and captivity they went through, all the sufferings they went through. But Yahweh Ba'ashim Shai will give us our reparations by making us ruler over the heathen nations, and having the heathen nations be slaves and be subject to us for 1,000 years in the kingdom when Yahushua returns. Matthew 24, verse 29, this is Yahushua speaking, red letter. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So at the end of Jacob's trouble, You know, after going through Jacob's trouble, then Yahushua Mashiach will return, you know, with the chariots, the so-called, how the world calls them, the so-called UFOs. He'll return with the chariots and his angels, with 20,000 angels around him on chariots as well, to redeem the elect all around the earth, the elect of Israel. So he's going to save all the elect of Israel all around, the four corners of the earth, from one end to the other. And he's going to save the elect of Israel from that second death by beaming them up into the chariot, into the so-called UFO, right before the missiles hit. Wisdom of Solomon 5, starting at verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. So all the prophets on the highways and hedges, making videos, teaching, people pass by, not caring, not making account for our labors, or passing by the videos and not making account for their labors, even though they know it's the truth. Hey, verse 2, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. So all the people that pass by and ignore the word, they will see us being beamed up into a chariot, into a so-called UFO, into the fathership that Yahushua Mashiach comes back on, and the 20,000 other angels' chariots as well. They'll be troubled with fear, but they'll be amazed, because this is something that they never seen before. This salvation that will happen at the end of Jacob's trouble will be greater than the one we had in Exodus with the Red Sea. Like, this salvation is going to be so great that we're going to talk about this salvation for eternity and forget about the one in Exodus, about the Red Sea. That's how great this salvation will be for the hopeful elect of Israel. Verse 3, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. We fools account his life madness, and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of the Most High, and his lot is among the saints? That's what they're going to be thinking when they see the hopeful elect get beamed up into the so-called UFOs, into the chariots of Israel, right before the missiles hit, right before, especially when all hell's breaking loose, and then right before the missiles hit, and, the hopeful elect are being saved from that second death. Isaiah 14, starting at verse 1, for the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So Yahweh Ba'ashim will once again choose, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the Israelites scattered abroad. He will choose his own people again and set them into their own land, after Jacob's trouble, after, Yahushua Mashiach returns and redeems the elect of Israel. Verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So the Israelites will take all the heathen nations, will take the 17 heathen nations as captives. The 17 heathen nations will be in slavery, subject to the nation of Israel. And the Israelites will rule over their oppressors, who the oppressors once ruled over the Israelites. So Yahweh Ba'ashim Shai will soon pull the reverse card, the Uno reverse card, and have the Israelites on top of the world, and everyone subjected, all the heathen nations subjected to the Israelites, for 1,000 years, and then eternity. This is Obadiah 1, verse 12. But thou shouldest have not looked on the day of thy brother, and the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. So Yahweh Shem Shah is telling, Esau, Edom, that you shouldn't even have looked upon your brother Jacob. You shouldn't have looked at him that day. You would have wished you never looked at Jacob. That's how bad Yahweh Shem Shah is gonna do Esau, Edom, when he's in the kingdom, as a slave. Yahweh Shem Shah is gonna fuck Esau, Edom up in the kingdom, for 1,000 years. And then when we continue reading, verse 15, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall turn upon thine own head. So, with all the heathen, since all heathen nations have touched the apple of Yahweh Shem Shah's eye, Yahweh Shem Shah's chosen people, whatever they did unto us, it'll be done unto them. And twice, it'll be recompensed unto them twice, according to the scriptures. Verse 16, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. So Yahweh Shem Shah is saying the heathen will drink that cup of suffering, and they'll continue to drink that cup of suffering. For 1,000 years straight, they'll be suffering in the kingdom as slaves, all the heathen nations, subjected to the nation of Israel. Verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh has spoken it. So after the 1,000 years of all the heathen nations being subjected in slavery to the Israelites, after the 1,000 years, all the heathen nations will go back to their own land. But Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, Esau, Edom won't go back to their land. They don't have a land to go back to. Yahweh, Ba'ashem El-Shai, will destroy Esau, Edom from existence, will eradicate Esau, Edom from existence. After the 1,000 years of slavery, Esau, Edom will serve in the kingdom to the Israelites. So, Yahweh Shem Shah is not going to show no mercy to Esau, Edom, because Yahweh Shem Shah hates Esau, because Esau is the wicked that Yahweh Shem Shah created. With that, I want to say, call Allah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect enduring in this truth. Lord willingly, I pray that was an edifying lesson. And with that, I want to say shalom.